to pay for a project.
Never go away, but functionally it will go away eventually.
Some of those I did lower. I don't know if you like some, especially the water. I lowered some of those that have been there for a long time. Some of them are there that they may not get hit for like 2 years, and then all of a sudden, oh, this is the year all that comes due. And so it's usually we put it there, and then if it's that year, we have the money, and you don't always know if it's in the spring that you're going to get hit with it or in the fall.
Good point.
So you kind of keep those little amounts rolling over. Some of them I have cut that I've just went through the last 6 or 7 years and seen they've been the same and they've not used a thing. Some of those ones I have started cutting.
So, and to second that, I think it's actually a decent idea if there's accounts like that that aren't being used. I think back to an education account that never was used, like to cut that out, but then when it is used, I think it's okay to do a budget hearing and let's transfer funds into that account. I think I'm hearing what he's saying. I think I agree. If there's accounts that you know you're not going to use, or there's a pretty high probability, or something we haven't used in the last 3 years, let's move that money out. Let's put it into an account that we know would get used, and then if we need it, transfer money back in for what we need it for. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Or lower taxes, because that was one of your goals earlier originally this year was to lower taxes.
Right.
So that's one way we can do it, is find those accounts that aren't being used.
Do you mind if I say something about recycling, or you want me to hold off on that?
Oh, go for it.
So, integrated waste is trying to put a program in for recycling. This is not into the budget yet. So this will be something that will need to be added to the budget if we go through this process. We've met, all the city managers met with integrated waste last week, 2 weeks ago. And they allowed us to have comments on the process, and it sounds like we may have another meeting with them. They took some of the suggestions and brought it back to the board, and so it could be a hit on our fund, but we do have money in the fund to cover cans if we need to buy them. But once again, that's going to be another increase to our residents that we really want to start now getting information out about, because there is a lot of increases in this coming summer that are very big increases from what they have been paying. And so the sooner as a council and the sooner as a staff we can start really pushing information out about those increases, I think it'll help each one of us. I sent out an email last week with some of the things that was running through my mind about those increases, and all your suggestions I appreciate. We are going to be running that on our Ridge Runner this next month. We actually started today putting a lot of that together. So any more comments on that would be great. So
that's awesome. Do you want to transition over to 5.2, or are we okay as a council to move on to 5.2? Do you want to start talking about the R6 zone?
Jeff's going to take the R6 one.
Jeff, welcome.
Okay, I have drafted an R16 zone, and I just want to make a couple of clarifying statements and then suggest a couple of things that are food for thought that I think that we need to consider as a city. So, R16 zone, we're going to propose this to the planning commission next week. Pretty straightforward, 6,000, minimum 6,000 square foot lots. But understand that I've drafted into this an element for multifamily housing. Is to accommodate Joe Christensen property, he's proposing multifamily housing. And what I mean by that is units that are attached to each other, homes that are attached to each other with common wall construction. That's what he's proposing, and that's what the council asked to be able to allow him to do, versus a traditional R16 zoning would just have a piece of property divided into 6,000 square foot lots, and you build individual homes on there, single family homes that are disconnected. So I want you to understand that that's what's going to be proposed, because that's what you asked for. And so that will give, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, it just gives an additional element to saying that you can call them duplexes or townhomes or multifamily or whatever you want to call them, but it will allow for units to be attached. The other thing that I think is important to remember is that in a 6,000 square foot zone, you can only get about 5 units to the acre. You traditionally take out, if you take an acre of property and you take out 30% for public roads and utilities, and what's left over, and divide that by 6, or divide that by 5, I mean, gives you 6,000 square foot lot. So when you take into consideration roads and utilities, you can only get about 5 units to the acre. A lot of people think, well, 6,000 square foot lots, you get 6 units to the acre. You really don't. And so I'm just saying that 5 units to the acre, is that dense? No. Is that low density? No, not really. It's kind of medium. So just be aware of that that's kind of where you're at. And it doesn't mean that we can't move things around and do whatever you want to do or needs to be done. That's just the reality. Now, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I just have to kind of bring this up, just food for thought. We have adopted a moderate income housing plan in our general plan. City voted on it. We said we're going to do these things. This does not, in any way, shape, or form, meet any of those requirements. And I think that that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. If I could just take a minute, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm just going to read a couple of things that we promised that we would do as a city. Rezone for densities. Fruit Heights will rezone for densities necessary to facilitate the production of moderate income housing. We said that we will work with the Planning Commission and City Council approving and adopting either a new zoning classification or modifying the existing R3 zone, creating new incentives to allow for higher density projects. This zone will not do that. If we're going to meet what the state has determined is affordable housing in this county, they don't take into consideration individual cities. It's 80% of the county median in household price, which right now is about $515,000 to $20,000. That means that we've got to sell a house in this city, brand new, for $412,000. That's one thing. the other, just one, we picked five, but the other one was that,
So, Jeff, can I interrupt you real quick?
yes.
That last one you just said, we are creating a new zone, and we are creating a zone for more density, to allow for more density, with air quotes in it. The R3 could have been used, but we chose to rewrite and create a new zone, it is what it is. So how does that not qualify with what we said we were going to do?
It doesn't meet get back over there. It doesn't meet the production of moderate income housing, according to the state's definition.
But there's nothing that we could do to meet their definition.
Well, hang on just a second, I'll get to that. The other thing I wanted to point out that in our moderate income housing plan was that we said, Fruit Heights has plans to zone or rezone for higher density or moderate income residential development in commercial or mixed use zones. And then we said that the city will identify areas on the zoning map that can be considered for higher density zoning. The city will meet with current landowners to assess interest. The city will also consider whether or not to actually rezone some property to a new zoning district. Okay, so that gets me to this point. The state passed a new law this year. It's House Bill 168, and it's titled Homeownership Promotion Zone for Municipalities. Some of you might have heard of this. The essence of it is this. You can create this homeownership promotion zone, and it has several elements to it. One, it can't be more than, it has to be 10 acres or less of property. It shall be zoned for at least 6 housing units per acre. And that's why I thought about this, because this is in the realm of what we're talking about right now. There is a tax incentive piece to it, and I don't know how that works. It doesn't matter tonight. It says that the home promotion zone shall provide the following objectives. Increasing availability of housing, including affordable housing, promotion of home ownership, overcoming development impediments and market conditions that render an affordable housing development cost prohibitive, absent incentives resulting from a home ownership promotion zone. Conservation of water resources through efficient land use. Those are the goals. So what this would be is that you would require that 60% of the homes built in this zone meet the affordable home ownership, affordable housing requirements of the state. 60%. And that these homes are deed restricted for a minimum of 5 years. That means the original owner has to live there for at least 5 years. And there's some other details, but that's the main part of it. So I'm just thinking to myself, in August, I've got to write a report to the state and say, here's what we've done. Right now, we've done nothing but created an accessory dwelling unit ordinance to allow for, basement apartments and so on. Should we consider trying to do something more with this than just create an R16 zone that will not meet any of these definitions, will not meet any of our requirements, and I don't know if we'll be scrutinized because of that or not, who knows. I'm just saying that should we be trying to do some of the things that we said we were going to do?
So from my perspective, not to cut you off, but we said we were going to make higher density zone. in accordance similar to the R3, which we are discussing and being written and is potentially going to be passed in the next city council meeting. Second, I personally have met with 2 developers in the city and asked them for higher density in their development. And both of them have directly turned us down. In that law, in that requirement, we say that we will approach developers and ask them. We don't have control. We can't force a developer to do anything than what they want. I would counter what you're saying that we're not meeting them. We passed the ADU, we created a new zone, and we have approached 2 developers, and they have both turned us down. That is exactly what I talked to President Adams about, when he said he was going to change the bill. I will be very direct with him. There were 4 bills passed this past year that were directly tied to development. 3 of the 4 are horrible. They're waste of time, a waste of paper. One of them actually is something that I think we can work with. But what it will come down to is there wasn't much passed this past year. My guess is next year we're going to get hit very hard because they're going to come back and say we haven't done anything to pass all these bills to help you. So I think it's on us to continue on the path that we're doing. We are doing the best that we can. We cannot sell a home in Fruit Heights for $412,000. If you can point to a piece of property that we can build a new home, not us, but a developer can come in, build a home for $412,000 and sell it and him make a profit, I'm all ears. But we cannot force the hand if we don't own the property.
Any other comments?
They met with developers, it also mentions meeting with landowners, can we do that?
I met with the Barker family. I met with Matt Lowe. I've asked both of them very directly. I thought the piece of property on Mountain Road, right next to the rock loft, part of his development is 1A, I think, section phase 1A. I thought it was a perfect place to put a higher density, to rezone that as a higher density location and turn this down. The Barker property, I thought right next to the edge of their property that overlooks the park and ride was a fantastic place, and they both denied the request. There's not much we can do.
Jeff, were you able to listen to that webinar today? Did you get back to it? So
I didn't tune into it.
and they have a webinar today that talked about this reporting and stuff coming up, and that was a lot of discussion on that one was how we can fulfill the requirements. Fruit Heights City is not alone in that. Sounds like
I suspect
pretty much
not.
the entire state is having issues fulfilling the requirements. The one advantage that I took from that is we did pass the IEU ordinance. And as long as we continue to enforce that and progress with it, it can be the continued action on it. It's not just, oh, you did that, and you're good. If you show that you're continuing, and it can continue as an action. It's what you said there.
But again, I don't have a problem personally going straight back to our representatives in the state and saying this is garbage. There's nothing more that we can do because we don't have the land, we don't have the capability of selling it for $12,000 in the city. We have a mobile home park, and they can sell, they sell for $72,000. We have some condos in my neighborhood, but neither of those are new. None of them, they're not new. But can we? Yes. Do you want the city to go and buy a mobile home park, put in a mobile home, go put in a new mobile home, and we'll sell it new for $112,000 so we can check that box? It doesn't make sense. There's nothing logical that we can do.
So based on those comments, you're suggesting we just move forward with what we're talking about, and then you and I will figure out how to write a letter in August to explain all that.
I'll probably start writing one next month. Like I'm pretty upset.
Okay.
And I'll work with you on this.
Any other comments?
Yes, little thought. This is kind of a tangent, but kind of tied to it, and it might be more effort than it's worth. One of the complaints I heard a lot as we were going through the project there for the R3 is that there's nothing in the master plan about having transition zones. And I wonder if we as a council, while we're on this conversation, see if we can get a public hearing together and update the general plan to highlight transition zones at the places that we can outside the golf course, because that's not going to happen.
So from my perspective, the phrase transition zone was put into the master plan specifically and only for the golf course.
Right. But I think that that's going to be that's not going to happen in my opinion.
Right.
But we still have opportunity, and it'll give us a chance to let the citizens know that we feel that higher density is something that's acceptable. And it'll give the residents a chance to tell us, no, they don't think so. And again, we represent them, but it'll give us a chance to have that conversation. Isolated, outside of replacing the whole general plan, where we can just focus on the higher density piece.
Megan, thoughts?
Okay, so we'll discuss this next week at planning commission and then bring it up to the council. Let's take the time necessary to make sure everybody's comfortable with what we're doing, so. We'll discuss it next week and get it going.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your efforts on it, Jeff. Moving on to a discussion on municipal code title 7A chicken ordinance. Darren, you want to play with this one a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you for all your efforts in reviewing, commenting. So just as a reminder, this is on our agenda because it's going to be before planning commission next week. We had a cottage meeting that was pretty well attended. The notes from that were taken and put into an ordinance to reflect their desires. I feel pretty comfortable with where the direction we're going. I feel the desire to get more, open it up as much as we can, but still have teeth in there that if they're not following the ordinance, that there is no ordinance for them to follow. Darren, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so we,
Your mic's not on.
we were able to, have a cottage meeting, like the mayor said. There were, probably 20, 25 people here to it. They all had ideas of what they thought, should be in the chicken ordinance. If we continue to go that way. We talked back and forth, we put together, the mayor went through with all their thoughts, all their ideas, and cut parts out that we had in before, added different things to it as far as square feet. You have another chicken for 500 square feet. We've had comments saying, can that be 1,000 square feet? Just trying to maintain the number of chickens. With that comment from a council member, about how many people are on the committee, how many residential committee, the fowl committee or whatever, how many people be on that committee, and the responsibility and how they're put on that committee as part of the ordinance. Oh, there you go. So we still have to change some of the filters. And also some other council members have comments too as we went through this. So, some of the first is, what is too small to have a chicken? Is 8,000 square feet too small for a lot, or is it 10,000? We started, after that, we went to 8,000 square feet as the smallest zone for chickens. We did want to put a number there. I think that's important to have a number. That's one thing that I think does need to still have discussion, and I think the planning commission should be able to go through that. Deemed a household pet, I think that's probably one that needs to stay in there. A chicken really is not a household pet. We probably need to define a chicken as a fowl. We have different zones. We have an R112 that doesn't allow any farm animals. We have an R18. It doesn't allow farm animals. We have an R110. It doesn't allow farm animals. But changing it to fowl could possibly fix those in those areas without having to change all the ordinances.
So the reason it's not a household pet is because we have an ordinance for household pets. So we have a dog and cat ordinance that protects, you know, you can only have 3 dogs on your lot. So that's why that's stayed in there.
So
That's nice to have that explanation, because when you're just looking at it for this document, you're kind of like, that kind of like, seems like it's a remnant from some, boilerplate something.
No, it needs to stay there, so it's not.
can you scroll down a little more, Haley? There was the comment a lot about what is it, non-crowing rooster? I guess they have those. People said they did,
That's news to me.
and so that was a new one. So we were like, all right.
There's one in the city, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, we're still wanting to see that. So
They actually have, I actually met with a friend that actually does like chickens. He says there's actually hens that actually can crow, but they only crow for a very short time. It's not like a major problem. Anyway, along the line.
one person that's not a major problem, the next person very much could be though. That's one of the issues with chickens. This is one back again. How many is too many? I mean, how many chickens is too many? I have people here who have chickens sit on an 8,000 square lot. If you had more than 6, that's too many chickens. Then I had someone sitting right next to him saying, no, you could have 15 chickens on an 8,000 square foot lot. And they both raised chickens, but they both disagreed on that aspect.
I was reading on the Utah State Agriculture website, 5 square feet for chicken. That's what they suggest. 5 square feet. I was like, wow. You could have a lot of chickens.
You could have a lot of chickens in that, but I still think
it's appropriate.
yeah, that's what I think. What is an appropriate amount of chickens? Is there a size? I think there's those things are probably things that need to be in there.
Hey, George, let me just follow up with that. For any of you guys that, like free-range chickens, the definition of a free-range chicken is a chicken that lives in something 3 square feet or larger.
Is it really?
So
3 square feet.
3 square feet, that's considered your free-range chicken. So when you're in the grocery store, you're not getting a whole lot.
Yeah, it was incredible when I read it. It's like, wow.
Darren, can we just kind of throw it out there? Like, we're not deciding, we're not voting on anything tonight. Can you, between now and Friday, please get any comments in there so that we can get something finalized and to the planning commission so they can review it before their meeting on Tuesday. So this is kind of, most of you were at or listened to that meeting last week. So please, like, if there's any other comments, anything else you want to add, I agree that we probably need to set a limit. I think 8,000 square foot, I think we have to.
I don't think, personally, I don't have a problem with 8,000.
So R18 or bigger.
Okay.
Flo, I did want to answer yours about you were having a pond and they're actually zoned RS12 and they have over a half acre. So they can actually have geese or goats or all that kind of stuff. I did see that. So I did want to make sure you did see that just from what they're zoned. Any questions on it? This is all discussion, so we can take it to the planning commission.
Not so much a question of more of a comment. I got educated on chickens today. Just because, but anyways, personally, I think these, when we start with an 8,000 foot lot, I think too much, but 500 is too low, meaning 500, you can add another chicken. So I would suggest maybe a 750, like right in the middle, but that's just my personal thought.
No, that's great. Like we want to go through this, so we have recommendations too. That's
So the
what
reason we went to 500 was Farmington was very limited at 500.
Oh, okay.
But they started at 6,000 square feet. We bumped ours up to 8,000 square feet.
I'm not,
Hazel, it just doesn't have such a lot, you can't have more than 12. I think from what we heard, we need to provide them opportunities. But if we're getting complaints, at least we can come back on something.
yeah, I'm not definitely opposed to the 500.
Right.
I just, the person that I was talking to seemed to think that was a reasonable amount, and I have to admit, I'm not an expert, so.
I thought it was, not really, but I got definitely educated last week. Yes, go for it.
What are the red lines? Okay.
So those are a comment that Eileen had or a council member. They typed in their comments like that. So we both got both. We got click on it, showing who did that comment, and then we also have them off to the side. So for the different comments.
I get so confused with all these different colors on all of them. So, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. So again, council, if you could review that, any other comments would be very much welcome before Friday, so we can get that to plan action by Friday.
Sooner the better, so they have time to go over before their meeting next week.
Great. Thank you, Darren.
Yep.
Final items on our discussion items is municipal code title 11A, update to the new state legislative requirements. Something that we have had discussed a couple times. It was passed by our planning commission after much debate. It was tabled because we were told that we would have a caveat put in from our state legislator, which was not put in. So we are now where we are in needing to pass this. So it's on our agenda to discuss. We've had a lot of discussion. Do we need a discussion, or do we want to move to a motion at this point?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
There are just technical things as I read through, and I think that I'll go through that. Why is number 110704 in parentheses reserved? It's just like there's nothing.
Can you bring that up, Haley?
I'm gonna come up here so I can see what you're
And
looking
sometimes
at.
I'm able to click on the site.
What was the number? 1107. Highlight. You highlight it usually on the side. Highlight. Oh, 04.
Page 13.
It sounds very professional though, so I advocate to keep it.
For my
Keeps
comments.
you excited.
It's the trails below the trails.
Which way before?
Look at
Trails.
Trails.
I don't know. There might have been something there that was taken out. Sometimes attorneys will just leave something in there because you're gonna have something, it's a spot to have something later. You don't have to renumber everything. I don't think there's anything specific about that I can remember. It's been a while since I looked at this. It's not uncommon to have reserved sections.
Sections.
You see it all the time. That's probably more of an attorney thing.
So I'll tell you, Eileen had a question on the trails. She was wondering if we could legally, it's the very first part here. If it's on our trail plan or on our master plan or trails plan, if we can actually have the developer required to put the trail in, yes, we can. We can't go back after the fact and put it on our plan and then come back and say, now it's on our plan, go do it. But if it's already on our current plan or trail plan, yes, we can require it. So that was one of her questions. She asked me to clarify.
I had a few. Go for it. Looking for. On 11.2.1 terms. What was the context of terms here? I couldn't make sense of that one.
Yeah.
You what? Yeah, that's the right one.
I don't know what he meant by the word term, but I can tell you the gist of this is that anything that includes a sale, gift, transfer, conveyance, split, or division of property, any division of property is a subdivision.
And I agree with that. I was wondering if that's what that was supposed to be, a sub, was that supposed to be a sub label that said subdivision, and then that defines subdivision? Because I couldn't find anywhere else in that.
I don't know what he meant by the word term right there, but that's the gist of what it's saying.
Right, so should we clarify that and do another sub item? So
I mean, to me, it feels like that should say subdivision right there.
That's what I was thinking as well. Like it was
Can
trying to
we
define.
clarify that? I mean,
To the terms of this
that's what I would.
That's where I was going.
Because you're talking about, this is what constitutes a subdivision.
And later on, it refers to subdivided, and I was like, oh, what's the definition of
He
subdivided?
says,
Terms.
within subject to the terms of this title. I don't know.
It's probably, I will tell you, it's probably some legal doc way of saying this definition.
Is it okay to clarify, or can we change it now?
It would be okay to, clarify that.
You could approve it with the clarification of that, and if we needed to change it, we could and bring that back.
I agree with you, I don't know what it means by term.
Okay, next one, up on that same one, 11.2.1, it says exception. Why do we need that exception there? Scroll down just a little more, Haley. It's on point 2, there at the end, it's on the next page, there you go, where it says exception.
The exception, okay, joining lots in a parcel
Joining the lot.
does not constitute. So, like in a rock lot, one individual bought 2 lots, put them together, built their house on it. That's not a new subdivision. So that's the exception of
This is
lots.
a new state law.
Yeah, that's the new.
They passed a new law that says that joining 2 lots together no longer constitutes a subdivision. It used to. Before this last year, it used to constitute a new subdivision. It does not now. So you can, like Darren said, you can combine 2 lots. You can change lot lines as long as it doesn't mess with the zoning. Those things can be done without filing a subdivision plat. So I think that's all he's saying, is that those are exceptions to subdivision plats.
But we still have to record those with the county and everything, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
There's still
and
a
actually,
process.
we don't, they do, just act for example, the Rock Loft, people that bought both lots, they went down to the county, filed to join the 2 lots together, so they could build their house on that lot.
Do they have to go through the approval process, or
They have to notify the city, and it can be an administrative approval, and to notify the city, but then they've got to go down and record it. I don't like it. I don't like it because it's only the county recorder that knows what happened.
Interesting.
It's the law.
That the city doesn't have to approve those plats. Is that what
Well,
you're talking about?
they have to come to the city and tell the city. The city
It's just
has to
notify.
check it, Make sure that there's no zoning violation.
Yeah, it's just to notify that these 2 lots are joint, and that's all it is.
hey, I'm doing this?
Yes.
It's a notification.
So we are put on notice and have the right to comment on it.
So I guess this is what really bothers me. We've got section 2, unlawful subdivisions, and then there's exception to unlawful subdivision. So why, it doesn't make sense to me is what I'm trying to say. Why can't we just strike out that exception and just let it be? Why does it need to be there? Is my point. But
It's the new state law, and so that's part of that requirement for this ordinance.
Can we just reference the state law then?
What's
Can
that?
we just reference the state law?
Yeah, we could.
Instead of an exception, that exception to an unlawful subdivision hurts my head.
My bet in the state law, it has that same exception
It
in their
doesn't-
line.
It doesn't flow real good, does it?
No, and we'll move on, you can consider it, I'm not gonna be too stressed by it. And let's see, in the final, point 3, it says, final plat approval, lots shall not be transferred or sold, nor shall a direct building permit be issued for a structure thereon. But then in 5, it says, building permit shall not be issued prior to approval or recordation of the final plat. Wait, was I looking at wrong? Point 5 could be removed.
So the final plat can be approved, but you can't really limit it until it is recorded and done.
Right.
And that's what that's saying.
So now I'm saying it's repeated, so it's just saying that you can't get a building permit issued without final plat for
You're
approval.
saying it says the same thing in both places.
Yes.
So this doesn't really need to be there.
Yeah.
It does.
Or remove it from the final plat.
You can turn around and approve it to be final, but until it is actually recorded, it's not final. So
It says that right here.
Right, so it should be, I think it should be removed from number 3, because it doesn't have anything to do with the building permit. The building permit, well, it has things to do with it, but anyway, that feels duplicated to me, because it says it in both places.
you got to duplicate everything.
Jeez, George, I like this, man. Keep going.
And I got it through.
You're just saying that it doesn't need to say nor shall a building permit be issued, because it says that.
Right, exactly, because it's addressed.
That's all you're saying.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that.
If we're painted by words.
Yeah, I agree.
We go from 23 pages down to 10.
That's where I'd like to be. And I think that's as far as I got tonight when I was reading it. So I will admit, I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing. And I would like to before I approve it. If the council feels like we want to move forward, then, well, okay.
I'm okay with tabling it
You have,
until next council meeting.
you can make a motion to table it.
Discussion, are we under a strict?
We've already passed that.
This is the one that
This
we
was back in February.
tabled, a couple months ago, so literally one council meeting isn't really gonna make any difference whatsoever.
But I think we need to move forward quickly because I don't want to lose that penalty of the 200 and something thousand out of our roads.
But we would have already lost it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Mayor, do you agree that one council meeting is not gonna change that?
Jeff, do you think?
One council meeting is not gonna change anything. We don't have any pending subdivisions, so that's why I don't think there's a tremendous amount of pressure. Who knows what the state's gonna do? That's irrelevant. But there's no pending pressure, so whether you do this now or next meeting or the meeting after that, I'd do it sooner than later, but I don't think that nothing's gonna matter between now and next meeting.
Perfect. I move to table municipal code title 11A, update to new state legislative requirements until the next council meeting.
I'll
Council to review.
second that.
And George, anything that you want to send us about these questions, we can run them up the flagpole.
And I'll just make my comments.
Yeah, make your comments, because that makes it really easy for me to ask the attorney on these questions that you're asking.
The one thing I did ask on the last council meeting that we were discussing this was, can we put something at the end that talks about, can we have it basically follow the state, if there's something repealed at the state level? that it reflects-
Repeals this. Yes, and Brad did say we could do that.
Yeah, he did. We need, but I
Oh.
don't think we added that language.
I don't think we did either.
We need to add a piece about that. We need to
Yes.
consider that.
So I have a motion on the table from George and a second from Gary. Do we have any further discussion items on tabling until the next city council meeting? With the caveat that we will mark this up and get it to Darren and Jeff. Any other discussion? All in favor of moving to approve the motion to table municipal code title 11A for next city council meeting. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Table item, we're gonna leave that tabled for tonight. Calendar items for our planning commission. Next Tuesday, and May 7th, we have a city council meeting. Again, Haley, would you mind making a note that we're going to do a work session starting at 6:30 before that to review? Do you think 30 minutes is going to give us enough time?
No,
Should we do an hour?
I would like an hour.
6 o'clock? Let's do a work session starting at 6 o'clock to review, discuss, have an open discussion about the budget, and then we'll move into city council at 7 o'clock. Is that right? Moving on to number 8.1, city council meeting minutes from April 9th. Do I have a motion to approve them?
I move that we approve the minutes of the city council meeting from April 9th, 2024,
Thank you.
as modified online.
Okay, because there were a lot of comments. I think there were a few comments.
Thank you, Flo. I have a second from Mark. All in favor of approving the minutes from city council meeting April 9th, 2024 with the updated changes, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Great. Let's move on to number 9, which is city council report. I'm gonna go left to right. Is that all right? Flo, do you want to start us off?
Okay, yes, I have tried, and now I finally am going to a 4th of July meeting, with Kaysville City on May 8th. So
Great.
it's hard for me to find the right person to actually be invited.
Did you invite yourself?
I tried, but now, yes.
Good. Thank you. With that, in regards to the parade, can you make sure that we have 2 entries with the city council and the youth city council being together? I think they like having 2 entries, but we're going to go together.
You mean, okay, so YCC right next to us.
Right.
That was nice.
Yeah. I thought it was really effective.
Okay, and then, there's been a question that I was asked, will there be a walkway near the ball field so you can get down into the building?
Yes.
Okay, but it's not there yet. Okay. It's looking good, by the way, you guys work on it. Thank you. And then I noticed we had, and maybe I should just do this on the email, but we had an email about a Google app, or I don't know, GoGo app, about a local government mobile app where you can just push and communicate with your, well, I wonder if we should. Should I send that? I mean, it was an email that came to all of us, didn't it? But I thought we should ask Karen and the staff if they thought that that might be helpful for our city, if it would be expensive or not.
Well, I thought we had a reverse dial thing if they've signed up for that.
I think the best solution would be work with Karen because the web hosting provider has a ton of apps that are already developed that I think that they just have plugins. I don't know what's there.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind just following up with Karen, that'd be great. Anything else? Thank you. And also thank you for your work with the CPC. And thanks for participating on that. I thought it was really effective that the CTC came and met with the YCC with the Youth City Council, and they had an app, and they were talking about all the good things in the city. I attended a meeting and saw that, I'm like, wow, that's actually really well done. Of all the good aspects of the city and all the potential negatives, so thank you for letting go with that. George, right?
Nothing comes to mind.
Great.
Work with Darren on the budgets.
You're feeling good about budget?
Yes.
Good.
I never feel good about money. I should be honest. I never feel good about money. I'm always stressed, always wanting to spend less and make more. And so, no, it's constant battle for me, but things are looking well. They're heading the right direction. And it's on me. I'm just trying to understand, know the budgets, the finances more on me. But I think everything's as normal as normal. So nothing abnormal in the processes. So
Great. Thank you.
Okay, we had a group of 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds volunteer to help run the city, and they gathered up some garbage bags, and then they hit the Gailey Trail, and they picked up a lot of garbage and debris, and it looked like they had a lot of fun. But I think we just need to encourage more youth groups to reach out to the city and be able to use them wherever we can. So that was a success. Just a friendly reminder on our team barbecue on Tuesday, June 11th, please RSVP to Haley as soon as you can, because within the next, probably by the middle of May, we're gonna need to put out some sign-up sheets. So get that to her. And then on Founder's Day, there's nothing really new to update. However, the staff is currently taking inventory of extra supplies that were left over from last year, so we don't order items that we don't need to order.
Great.
And that's it.
A request I have for you, we have the Farmington Fire Committee report. I think it's next city council, right, Haley?
No, it's the following, second one, May.
Would you mind getting with them? I would like to know how many on average, or if they have an aggregate number of calls that came in from Fruit Heights where another department responded, whether it be Kaysville. How many times Kaysville responded to calls
In our city,
in our city?
that Farmington wasn't able to do because
Well, and Layton, but the reality is it's almost always we go to Kaysville first, so.
I would like to know that, if you can do that, as part of the research that you're in.
so he presents that. Okay.
So I don't have much, but, because I volunteer coach for Kaysville Rec, I have always been a little bit, mystified slightly about why, it seems like many teams really want to use our ball fields, but it seems like there has been some barrier. And so when I went to pick my stuff up this last time, I talked to one of the people there and said, hey, how come I didn't tell them who I was. For all I knew, I was just a resident of Kaysville. Hey, how come you guys don't use the fields up in Fruit Heights? And they told me that basically because they didn't have, they weren't given permission to maintain the fields. I think, and from what I've dug into it a little bit, I think there's maybe a little bit of a miscommunication there. And I'm wondering if there would be any problem or any hard feelings if I were to reach out and just ask, hey, do you guys want to, maybe we can just talk about it. And if you guys want to, I think we'd be open to it. I would be open to it but I'm just wondering.
I think, yeah, I'm open, but I would definitely defer to Lane and his team. Because I wouldn't want someone coming in and cleaning my fish tank if I had a fish tank.
Apparently what I've been told, and I accept that, but what I was told is that in the past, that's actually exactly what they used to do, and Fruit Heights actually had like a little shed for them, and they came and they did a good job apparently. And why it fell off, I don't totally know.
Gary, I can answer that. So, before the 89 project and before some other things happening there, Kaysville did come up and use fields. Once the 89 project started, they decided it wasn't worth trying to get up here with all the construction going on and everything being closed. So for that 3-year period, they haven't been up here, and now we're in the process, the Public Works is in the process of putting the one diamond back together and getting sprinklers and stuff like that. But that's not that we're opposed to, and they come and maintain the field for games. The shed's still there, they actually have a key to it. So I don't understand that portion of it.
So I'm just wondering, are you okay if I
Yeah,
open it all?
I'll open it all with that after I'm completed with the new sprinkler line and irrigation.
Sorry?
I don't have a problem with that after I'm completed with construction.
Yeah, I don't think that anything would happen fast. I just think that if I were to say, hey, maybe we can be friends again. I don't know, just ask the question, not to push anything, obviously, that would have to come back through you guys, but I'm just wondering if there's any problem with that. So, okay.
Can I make a comment? So if, Gary, as you negotiate this, like, I've always been irritated about Fruit Heights having a non-resident fee for Kaysville Rec. And so I think as part of that renewed friendship, like, I think that non-resident fee should go away for Fruit Heights participants.
That is actually a huge, I totally agree with you, 100%. I'm there with you, and it's part of the thing that it's kind of bugged me, because I pay the full fee, I volunteer, and then I could have my kids come and practice on our own fields, and we're not getting any benefit. So yeah, eventually that would come up, maybe not right up front, because I don't want it to be kind of like
A stumbling block.
yeah, I don't want it to be a stumbling block, but yeah, eventually it seems like it would be.
I mean, my kids are out of it, but for future Fruit Heights residents, it always kind of sat with me.
No, I totally am 100% with you. But it's just, I'm trying to understand what happened there. It seems like there was nothing that nothing big happened, so why not? It seemed like they didn't have anything on their side either, the Rex department, and they were just kind of like, well. So, and I think I talked to one of the more top people there, so.
Hey, Gary, in just a suggestion, would you be willing to see if you can find their budget online and see how much of their general tax revenue goes into the rec? Because that would kind of tell us how much the regular resident is paying the Parks Department. And our residents are not paying the Parks Department. So that would kind of give us an idea of what Fruit Heights should kick into their Parks Department.
Or it's a self-sustaining budget item.
Right, yes. So if it's self-sustaining, then yes. And if we're providing the coaches in the field, then I think that it would be reasonable to
To be clear, we're not providing all the coaches. I mean, there are a lot of people from Kaysville that have coached my kids. I just, there was a need, and I did it. Done it a few times, so.
Go ahead.
Sorry. With the birthday cards, I've bought some birthday cards and signed it for all of us, the staff. So I'm reporting on that. And then first about cleanup, I really appreciate, the cleanup that's been done at the top of Hidden Valley. There were so many weeds, it was hard to walk along that sidewalk, and now that's been cleared out.
Thank you.
Moving on. First and foremost, so I've had this like little burr under my saddle for 5 years that we were advertising for Ivory Homes on Main Street. Anyway, I put that on Darren, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? I said, Darren, our code does not allow that sign to be there on Main Street. Can you work at getting that taken down? A week later, talked to them, we'll get that taken down. Sure enough, by Saturday morning when I walked past there, that Ivory Home sign was down, advertising their condos for lease. Thank you. I really do appreciate you jumping on things and getting stuff taken care of. Second of all, I just want to make mention, Darren and I, we did explore a little bit, and we went down and met with Farmington Police Department to see if they would be willing to bid out the police services. They have provided us with an agreement, and it will be on our agenda for next week. As we discuss this, I want you to be very clear that we would never make a decision to move away from the county. We have not had complaints. It's just an opportunity to look at a competing bid. And if it's something we want to move forward with, we can. But please understand that if we do move forward, there's no chance in high Hades that we can ever go back. This is a generational decision if we decide to make it. So next agenda, we will have an item on there to review the 2 contracts and to see if we were going to continue with the county or move forward with the Farmington lease agreement. Done. I will make mention budget, reviewing our recycling. There's a new proposal that's going to be discussed with the city managers this next week for a city of our size that already has implemented a green waste recycling can. The plan is potentially to do pay for what you dump. And then there would be some credits paid back for diversion for garbage that's being diverted out of the landfill. And with our green waste recycling, we currently have about 13% of our garbage that is already being diverted from the landfill and it's going to green recycling. And if you put that 13%, decrease that from what we're currently paying, and we add in blue can recycling, there is a small chance that we could potentially, in a city of our size, we could start a blue can recycling program at maybe $1 a month per resident. That might be $2. But then once we implement the blue can and we can start diverting more material from the landfill, that it actually might even decrease our costs even more. So I just want to keep you up to date. This is a moving work in target. It's something I wanted to next meeting to put on the agenda to discuss more in detail. I'm going to pause that until we know exactly what's going on because Darren's been getting quotes. We're trying to find out how we can procure cans before I really kind of present this and what this would look like. But I think this is going to shake out pretty well. Currently, the 15 member cities that are members of the landfill, we are 4th largest diverter per capita. And we are doing very little. We have an opt-in green waste program, but the green waste diverts so much tonnage because grass clippings and branches and everything that goes into a green waste is very heavy. It's actually diverting a lot per tonnage on a per capita basis. So the landfill is saying, you guys don't have a blue can, you don't have a blue can. I'd say, we do have a green can, and we're diverting more per capita because our green can opt in than cities that have blue cans citywide. So we're actually doing a pretty decent job of trying to see if we can get this. That's a really good situation for us as a city. Shoot, I can't read my handwriting. Done. Can't read it. Moving on to item number 11. Jeff, do you have anything else to say?
No. 1800 East, Carson's making good progress. Marion Construction is laying the water line. Halfway done or so. I would say end of next week, they'll have the main line in, pressure tested.
How are we doing with the residents that aren't in our city up on 1800? How's that going?
Good. I haven't had really any complaints. The one guy in Farmington, Troy,
We don't need to mention his name, you're good.
his fence on city property, we're getting that moved, so Parsons can continue through there. Other than that, I haven't had any complaints from Farmington residents.
Do we need to move into a closed meeting after this to discuss that any further? Is that being escalated at all? There's a trampoline and a fence on our property.
Yeah, it's all getting moved. I believe it's taken care of.
Okay.
In the process of being taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
And we are getting bids for the Bear Creek Park, or Bear Canyon Park lot. The Parsons to do that soon.
Okay. Is that coming out of us or is that in Matt Lowe?
Matt Lowe's gonna do the sub.
Do all the prep, and then we'll do the paving part.
Would you mind talking about Brandon?
Brandon Ford, my employee that was hired in November. But in his 2 weeks, he's gonna go and do pilot school, night school. His last day is Friday.
Is your team going to be okay this summer? Down one person, are you gonna be okay?
No, I need help.
Yeah. So you have our permission to post it, and to replace it, but please let us know how we can help, if there's anything else that we can do.
Yeah.
We support you. Thank you. You guys are doing great. It's actually really awesome working with you guys. You guys are fantastic. Darren, do you have anything?
Just, please, if you have comments about the budget, if you can get those to me, I will get the comments you have for lemonade and go through those. So we can have that for the next council meeting.
I just have to make a comment real quick. This is the longest meeting we've had without actually doing anything. This is embarrassing. That was an hour and 38 minutes without doing a single thing. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I second. Gary, second. Mark, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.